that's what's quite interesting when you see the American media and the players, like NBA players, they all want to get interviewed because they're their own brand, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it's an interesting dynamic between the UK media and US media. Whereas if I was an NBA star, I'd be like trying to get you to interview me just so I can promote everything. I'll be wearing the cap and everything,
yeah.
trying to sell myself.
I should probably be doing that, wearing a Catflap cap now, but I wear them all the time, so I just try and mix it up so I'm not wearing the same thing every episode. Like,
yeah, who have we got behind you? But there, what's the jersey?
Oh, so we got Foxy's Lions one from Australia.
Yeah.
Dom's Saracens one, Dom Day. Scotland World Cup one from 2019 against Ireland. Duncan Taylor, you know, the 13 from Scotland.
That's right.
Saracen. Yeah, that's it. New Zealand one of Manu's ones. I lived next door to his brother when he was at the Dragons. Foxy's Claremont one. I got a Cardiff City one there and a Sevens one. Glamorgan, England Sevens. I got loads. I got some of the garage. Like, I got loads, to be fair. I just collected. Up here as well, actually.
Nice.
Kevin Sinfield, Fontaine Harpy, Bradford Bulls, and then a Real Madrid one as well.
No way.
And then I've got the Rooney overhead kick, which is signed. You can't see it, but it is signed. And then the Cantona one, which is signed as well.
What a setup.
Yeah, to be fair, we moved house last year, and I've got this little office, which my missus is busting for a kid. So one day it'll be a baby's bedroom. So I'll be shifted out to the garage then, which we'll have to convert or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's where you've been working the last year, have you?
Yeah, well, we moved last June, so it must be a year coming up now, yeah. So I had a I rented a 2-bed flat in the Bay, and when I was single, it was fucking perfect. And then you end up having a daughter. She's there on weekends, and then Mrs. obviously moves in as well. And you're just like, fucking no space. So I was like, if we don't move, I'm going to Dubai. Like, see you later. So it's good though. Like, best thing we've done. Like, just got space now, and it's next to Heath Hospital. Mrs. works in there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's just perfect, mate. So it's just the best thing that's happened. So. Yeah, real good, mate. Real good.
That's one thing I found quite hard the last year. I'm living like central London, in a 2-bed flat with no garden, and lockdown.
Brutal.
It was brutal. And our flat was, a lot of it was downstairs in the basement, so it was just dark and dingy. And we just thought to ourselves, imagine being in London in a flat with kids as well.
Yeah, fucking hell.
It must have been carnage.
Yeah, my daughter moved in when the schools were off. She moved in with us full time. I normally have her on weekend seat, so I'll pick her up after this Friday afternoon and then drop her back Sunday afternoon, you know. But she moved in full time, so I'm trying to work at a kitchen table. She's sat at the kitchen table trying to do school. To be fair, my missus is trying to teach her when she's not working in intensive care in the hospital, like during COVID, like just a highly strung, sensitive time in the house, you know. No one did anything wrong, but it's just like, you're doing my tits in for no other reason than I'm just stuck in here, you know. So it's interesting, but it's been good. I've loved living here and moving, and we've come out the other side of it quite well, I think.
Good. It's make or break, isn't it, when you get stuck in a house with your partner or whatever. But luckily, me and my wife are still together. Just about, but no, we've been great, actually. We've loved it.
It is make or break, and I don't think enough people like give each other credit, I suppose, around, like, give yourself credit around, like, fair play. We've come through some, although nothing's happened to us essentially. We've come through quite a difficult time together, you know.
I said exactly the same to Christy. I was like, Christy, fair play. I picked the right girl, beer. I picked, out of all the choice I had, I picked the right one.
I did have practice. I did try and explore the world and see what was going on. Yeah,
got there in the end.
Yeah, well, you know, if I gave her a shot at the title, she's still here 3 years later. So
always ready to upgrade, don't I?
She's in the other room now. She's probably listening, going, "Oh, it's fucking prick."
Yeah, Chris is the same, but they're working. So,
love it, class. Hey, mate, let's get to it then, pal. Catflap chats. I'm delighted to have Mr. Ben John, but at the moment you're making a name for yourself as the rugby trainer across social medias and obviously your website and everything. This has been coming for a while now. We've been chatting for a while. I've been seeing your work that you've been doing. It's enjoyable, mate. Don't take it too seriously, but you're obviously doing some great work. So welcome to Catflap Chats, mate, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, mate. First of all, thank you for having me on. The guests you've had have been some top guests. So yeah, privileged to be asked to come on, mate, and share the story.
No, mate, pleasure's mine, pal. It's interesting because most people I speak to, I suppose, are at the very top of their game in professional sports, especially at that particular moment, or someone like a Lee Byrne, whose career that he's had, your career's taken a very different turn, but you seem to be building up again to, taking over, especially in London and the work that you're doing. It seems like you're building something really special down there. So I'm interested to go through your journey today a bit, and like we said off pod just now, not those wanky media answers, but what your journey, now you finished playing, what your journey was really like, and that transition into business and stuff. So I'm excited about kind of where it's going to go. But first off, we were just chatting then, like, what's the last year been like, moving down to London, or living down in London, sorry, and you and your wife, and business and work and pleasure, like, what's it been like, mate?
Yeah, it's been as everyone would say, it's been a bit different. We're in a 2-bed flat luckily it's a 2-bed flat in London, no garden, nothing like that. So I'll be honest, summertime was okay last summer because we had the weather and it was quite nice, so we could, and it was new as well, so we had the excitement of spending a bit of time with each other and probably not working as hard as we would have done if we were in off. Because when I was just before lockdown, I was PT. I was in for 6 and coming home at 9. Yeah, and putting a shift in. So and that was, you get kind of stuck in that routine in London because it's such high pace, and there's so much. Everyone's just so obsessed with just trying to make money and successful. You just get kind of caught into that loop. So yeah. I think lockdown was nice because it just made you stop and think and question yourself, why am I in for 6 and coming home at 9 and I'm not actually spending time with my wife or actually doing things I used to enjoy. So yeah, the summer was nice in that way, but yeah, I'll be honest, got to winter, and it was a long old winter. It was tough because couldn't go outside, so we were just stuck in a flat, and it literally rained, didn't it, from December all the way to March, and I did find January really tough. And as well as that, I decided I was a head coach in a gym in London in July. And by August, then I decided I just wanted to leave and just do my own thing. I think I probably sat back and reflected too much. And it wasn't the best time to leave. So, but yeah, I decided to make a change in September. Well, September gone. That's when I decided to do the rugby trainer. Because during the summer, I was thinking to myself, right, if I was a kid, what would I want to do? I wouldn't be doing press ups and things like that. I would be doing that and skills work as well. I'm doing skills on my own. So I'd usually go down the park and do some stuff. So I decided to do some live video, what they call Instagram lives every Wednesday and Saturday morning for half hour, doing like press ups into catching a rugby ball and skills between your legs. And that started doing really well. I started to get a lot of views and stuff, and then I decided then to ask some of the players, reach out to some of the current pros because they weren't playing, and then literally Lee Halfpenny jumped on. Who else we had? James Hook. We had a lot of the lads jumped on, and I started really enjoying that. It was class because we had the weather as well, and I was kind of riding that wave. That was cool, and as well as that, I was in the process of helping the other coaches in the gym to turn that into an online gym as well.
Oh yeah.
So I was still doing my online coaching and PT and whatnot, but came to around about August time, and then things start going a little bit back to normal after lockdown 1 ended. So gym started opening up, and then I couldn't really, because then at the same time as well, me, Reese Webb, and Ashley Beck started an online rugby academy. because they were off as well. So we had plenty of time between us all just to do some skills for some kids, and that done well as well. So yeah, it came to August, and I just thought, right, I just want to do rugby. I just want to go back into rugby, because I'll be honest, I kind of stayed away from rugby for 3 years because I didn't really have I thought, yeah, stuff it, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to stay as far away from it as I can, just because, just probably because I retired early and I felt as if I didn't get out of it what I wanted to. But yeah, getting back into rugby, I found it so good, and just I missed it a lot. And yeah, it was a good summer, actually. Kind of shaped where I've got to now, which is cool.
Yeah, I love it. And like, obviously, for people listening who might not know your background, was it 8 or 9 seasons at the Ospreys, Aberafon before that? There were talks of you obviously joining Welsh squads, and we can chat about that in a bit. So, you had a good professional career. I was watching your highlights earlier. Like, there's like a 12-minute video you put up, mate. It's quite good, to be fair. I remember you playing. Obviously, I watch a lot of the regional rugby and stuff, and it's class to see that. I can understand your reasoning for not wanting to stay in rugby initially, and we can talk about that in a bit. And I can understand why, but I love the fact you've come back to rugby now, because it is. This is real cliche, really fucking wanky, but it is a bit of a family. And actually, now you're impacting rugby but on your own terms in a completely different way, and you've got a smile on your face, and it's class to see, because not everyone gets to do that.
No, thanks. My career, I retired. Well, I came out of rugby when I was 26. I wanted to take a year out to try and recover from concussion. But yeah, beforehand, I really loved doing skill work. I would always spend like half hour after every session with the lads, just doing high balls and practicing skill work. So I was really big on the skill element and making it fun as well, because making it enjoyable and fun. But yeah, just taking that and what I've learned and what I did as a kid as well. I used to spend a lot of time on my own down the park, and you probably spoke to a lot of rugby players on here, and they talk about sacrifice and just taking time. So I did a lot of that on my own. So just trying to relive that and just give it to kids, and just try and expose them to things they can do on their own, just to improve their skills.
So for people that are listening and might want to have a look, where can they find you and the rugby trainer and that now, so that they can see exactly what you're up to at the moment?
So currently, my main platform would be Instagram. So it's just the rugby trainer. Yeah. And then I've started doing a YouTube now. So YouTube and Instagram is probably. I got one on TikTok, but it's all the same, rugby trainer. But yeah, Instagram is the main thing.
Yeah, hopefully, obviously, people go and have a look. I'd love to chat about just like your Ospreys journey, I suppose, and then that will naturally develop into how you stopped playing rugby and got into this. In terms of that sort of rugby journey, how did you get into it? And were you going through academies, or did you get picked up from the Prem? And how did that journey go? And what was that like? Because again, you've got some real legends and unbelievable players at the Ospreys through your time there. Like, what was that whole experience like?
Yeah, so I started off playing rugby when I think it was 11, playing for Loughor, my local team, and then got to Ospreys under 16s, and that's when the journey started then. So that was literally, I went through the whole academy. I played for Wales under 16s, 18s, 20s, Aberafon when I was 17. So then I stayed with Aberafon, and that was my semi-pro club. I think I made my Ospreys debut then at 18. It's quite cool, actually. I think it was Ben Lewis, so he got yellow carded. So I came on the wing, but then we needed someone to pack down in the scrum, and I didn't have a clue where I was going flanking. So it was quite cool, because Jerry Collins was number 8, and he was telling me where to go. And being a young kid with all them players around, it was incredible. I remember walking upstairs to the cafe and just seeing like Justin Marshall. Like obviously the Galacticos as well, like Hookie, Phil, Mike Phillips. So yeah, incredible as a youngster. It was mad.
Did you get like overawed by that as like an 18-year-old coming into that system, or were you sort of one of those guys that just takes it in their stride? I know for a fact I'd fanboy and be like, "Hi, Mr. Collins. How are you? Right. Yeah, do you want a cup of tea?"
Yeah, to be honest, I was just super shy, so I wouldn't say anything, head down, and just
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything until they said something to me, type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what was quite cool then. There was the young academy back, so you had like our academy was amazing. You had Ashley Beck, Reese Webb, Dan Big, Tiprick. We always used to have a phase play attack against the starting lineup, and that was quite
Yeah.
cool as well. Just being young and being able to. The good thing is it was non-contact, which was good because I was about 50 kilos soaking wet. But yeah, we always used to attack them, and that was quite cool because
Yeah.
gain a lot of confidence, a lot of exposure from that as well, which was amazing.
Were you ever on the end of a JC tackle, or do you avoid him?
I remember the first time coming through, play senior training session, and I think it was Jess at the time. Alan Wynne Jones was Jess made captain, and we were playing touch rugby, and he likes to test the youngsters out, Al, just to see what everyone's like.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and in touch rugby, just kept on pushing me around.
yeah.
And then Sonny Parker was on my team, and he was like, "Oh, next time, react." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't really know what he meant. So as Alan went to pass the ball from touch, I just went straight through him. I just hit him, and then straight away when he happened, Alan came off the floor, came straight for me. Luckily, everyone just piled in and stopped. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do. But
Yeah,
but it was good though. Afterwards, he just said, "Oh, well done, mate, for standing up for yourself," type of thing. So I was just kind of
yeah.
like, "Oh, happy days." Yeah.
I love
So
that.
yeah, touch rugby, and I just tackled him. And I was, as I said, I was a young 17-year-old, and he was just made captain. So yeah, I think he respected that a little bit, and it kept him away from me for the next few weeks anyway.
I love it. Like the thing is though, like I bet you got a lot more respect for that than you would have if you'd have just like let him bully you around a bit.
Yeah, that's probably why
100%.
the older lads used to obviously do it just to test. Academy lads, you
Yeah,
come up and you're full of energy and you want to impress, and then as soon as somebody, you probably as an academy kid as well, you're usually the best in your age group, so you probably haven't met anyone who would stand up to you or be better than you.
yeah,
So that's probably why they do it a lot looking back now, and it does definitely help. It grounds you and it makes you understand. There's going to be players bigger, stronger, faster than you. It's just how you react to it.
yeah. Of course. So, what was it like as that sort of 17 and 18-year-old coming through when you've got the likes of? I assume Henson was still there at the time. Obviously, Hooky, Sonny Parker, like they are players that you really want to try and learn and absorb as much as possible. Like, what's it like for you when you're standing amongst those three going, do you ever get like, or did you ever get like imposter syndrome just going, what the fuck am I doing here with these? Or was it just like natural, like, yeah, carry on, let's go?
Yeah, well, even someone like I mentioned him earlier, Ashley Beck, he's a year older than me, and I always used to look up.
Yeah, he was class as well, to be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, he's class, and I always used to look up to him. And I remember him playing against Leinster when he just turned 18 against Brian O'Driscoll, and I think he had Mark Taylor outside him as well. And
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, Mark Taylor was one of my heroes when I was a kid,
yeah,
and then seeing James Hook there as well. He's my hero as I got a little bit older.
yeah.
But yeah, having all that around you just kind of just elevated your game. And yeah, well, I was chuffed then when Hooky came back for the end of his career because I got a couple of games with him, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite cool.
Now it is cool to be fair because they're like you said, that Glasgow era of Ospreys was class, like some unbelievable players,
Yeah,
unbelievable games. Like like you said about reflection earlier and kind of like looking back. When you look back on your Ospreys career now, like how does it make you feel? And because you played 80 games, give or take. You can't be a mug to get that far in professional sport. If you get the odd one or two and you're gone, then fair enough, it wasn't quite for you. But you were a mainstay of that squad for like you said, a good 8-9 years. Like, how does it make you feel now that you look back and you've got your new career that you're doing, but you've had time to think about it?
Initially when I retired, I looked back and I thought, right, I didn't get out of rugby. I know I got to profession, but I thought I didn't achieve what I wanted to. I wanted to play for Wales, and I didn't get it. So I kind of saw it as a bit of a failure. And when I was looking at goals, but I would say beginning my career when I got to about 21, I felt like I was doing really well and I was progressing well. And then from about 21 to 23, I think I was just an average squad player. I wasn't progressing. It's kind of everyone was just leapfrogging me and getting beyond me. I kept on getting injured, and I couldn't get any consistency in games. And the best thing that happened to me, I kind of probably lost that fight and that drive to try and be the best player I can be, type of thing. I was just happy, just training in the B team and just that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Probably lost my way a little bit with my drive and ambition. And then the best thing that happened to me is like Dragons had lost about 4 or 5 centers due to injuries, so they needed a center to go on loan. So
Yeah.
Griff said to me, Ben, do you want to go on loan? And then happy days. And as I got there, then a new environment. I've been with the Ospreys since I was 16, a new environment, and seeing Lee Byrne, because he just moved there as well, and watching him train and seeing the way he trains, and he's an absolute legend. Played so many games, Caps, Lions, and just seeing the way he was training, and my level of training was just so far behind of what. And he was at the time, he must have been 33 at the time.
Yeah.
So I was 10 years younger than him or whatever, and he was just so much. He was beyond the ability what he was doing in training, how he was conducting himself. And I just thought, shit, what am I doing? I'm just kind of ghosting through my career now. I don't want to be 28, 29 and think, oh, I just had an okay career. I want to try and push on. So seeing that, I decided when I went back to the Ospreys, then I kind of set some goals, and I got a bit of drive back, a bit of excitement into playing. And I thought, right, first of all, I want to try and get in that first team.
Yeah.
And I started investing a lot more time doing extras and things like that. And I kind of got obsessed then with that. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. I got hungry again, which was good then, and kind of sparked my career a little bit more.
It's funny how you go through those little peaks and troughs, isn't it? I suppose you can become complacent, I suppose, quite quickly without realising, maybe. I've never been a professional, but in work, some days you don't earn your salary. You just kind of, like you said, ghost through it, like just complacency, I suppose. And then that, unfortunately, starts becoming a bit of the norm.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't do, should it? You should, like you said, set goals. How do we achieve them? Let's strive them. There's something that I suppose in everyday life we all experience as well.
Yeah, I definitely, because when I said up to 21, my main thing was I was very consistent. I wasn't like exceptional player. I was just very consistent in what I did. And then soon as I said, that 2 or 3 years where I was just, I wasn't consistent at all. Some days I was okay. And then other days I'd probably go missing in the game. I wasn't there. And then after that, then I started to raise my consistency. And then because I was working on my skill, I was just getting better and better. My consistency was a lot higher. And it's the same I'll be honest, it's the same now when I go to the gym. I'm just like, I can't be arsed this week. I'm just going to tick a box this week. And it's quite hard because I'm so used to training with a group of people, because I'm doing it on my own now. I find it really tough.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm struggling with training at the moment. Like,
I've got to have a training partner. Like,
at the moment, like I'm carrying a good couple of kegs more than I should be, and I just cannot be fucked. Go and sort it out. Like, honestly, like just my motivation, just fucking do it. Like, and again, like you said, like I'm going Jersey now in 7 or 8 weeks, and I was like, said to my mister, like, fuck me, I just need 2 months, just fucking knuckle down for 2 months, drop 10 kegs, and you look slightly better in a pair of budgies in Jersey.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just keep a t-shirt on. Happy days.
Oh, I don't care too much. Like, what's someone going to say? Oh, you fat fuck. All right, wicked, good one. Like, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talk to me about just the end of the Ospreys then and what happened, because I'd love to. We get quite a lot of messages from people who have experienced things but never really talked to anyone about it. And everyone sees the highs in professional sport, but rarely they understand the lows that people go through. And obviously with your journey, we had Chekai on before, we spoke about his, and I know yours is a bit similar. So I'd love to just chat to you about that, not just what happened, but how you were with it and how it made you feel, and then how you dealt with it and come out the other side as well.
Yeah, so when was it? It's hard to remember the timelines and stuff, but I had a knock to the head. It was around, I think I was playing against Munster, yeah, against Zebra the week before against Zebra. I had a bit of a knock to the head, and I didn't think much of it. And luckily, it was right at the end of the game, so I was fine then. And then I didn't say anything, and I played the next week. Like I was on the bench the next week. I came off the pitch. I only had 5 minutes at the end. As I started running, and I think it was adrenaline kicked in, and I was heart rate spiked up. My vision went really blurry. And luckily, it was right at the end of the game. So, and then straight after the game, then I went to the physio and told Chris Towers everything. And I used to have really bad symptoms after that. I had really bad symptoms with headaches for days and stuff after. And I took a bit of time out. And then I came back and I came back from that. And then I had a knockout. So I passed all the tests and everything. And this was months later because I took a lot of time out because for my vision to go quite blurry, it was bad. So took 3 months out maybe. And then I came back and then I got knocked out straight again after. And then I had to take a lot longer out. So I took about 6 months out after that. I think it was 6 months. Yeah, and just I found it really hard to recover after that. It took me a long time. It took me a couple of months for my headaches to disappear. I used to struggle with like lighting and any LED lights. I couldn't. Yeah, it was just too bright. So I remember just going to watch the Ospreys because I was obviously sitting there supporting them, and just I couldn't stay in the stadium because it was just so bright. And I struggle as well with pattern lines. So the Liberty Stadium's got white and black seats.
Yeah,
It was just making me dizzy and nauseous. So a few times I just had to leave the ground just because I couldn't sit there. And yeah, I used to drive in the night with like glasses on because the car lights are so bright. And I used to struggle in the passenger seat as well. When I'm in the passenger seat, I used to get dizzy and sick and stuff, and really anxious as well in the passenger seat. I'm not sure why, but I still get a little bit of that now. I'm not sure if it's because my missus is driving or or because of the headaches, but or for the head collisions. But at the moment I'm really good. But at the time, I found it really tough and really, really, really hard periods just because I didn't have a time frame, I didn't have a timeline, and at the time as well, every time I felt good, I would start training and my heart rate would go up, and then I'd have to start again because my symptoms would come back, and it was just that vicious cycle of right, I feel good today, I'm gonna give it a go, I'm gonna go for a cycle, and it's like 140 heartbeats per minute rate, and then as soon as that happened, I'd get dizzy and stuff, and then it would start again. So that was really tough, and then luckily I came back and I felt good. I played a few games. And then it was the one then in Pakistan. No, it was one in South Africa. Then I came back. I had a few good games under my belt, so I was really happy and confident. No issues at all, no symptoms or anything. And then I was working on my tackle technique. This one I found really tough because I was working on my tackle technique a lot, getting in the right positions and reacting to it. And then played out in Bloemfontein against the Cheetahs, I think it was, and it was one of those where I had to cover. I had to come in, I had to cover something happened in the inside, so I just jumped across, and I thought, right, if I don't hit this person, I just got to get in the way and hit them. And I kind of disregarded my technique and just to get the player down, and I caught my temple on the player's hip.
Oh yeah.
That was in first couple of minutes of the game, and I just got knocked out from that. I found that one was kind of the hardest because I thought to myself, shit, this is probably the end of my career.
Yeah.
And it's something I could have prevented if I would have just adjusted or maybe just got into a better position because I've been practicing it a lot.
It's tough though because they're split-second decisions, aren't they? So you could. If you hadn't had the previous knockouts, that one probably wouldn't have knocked you out either. So go on.
No, it's hard to say, and I think because I changed I was really focused on my tackle technique in that last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks leading up to that game. It just shows when everything is like split-second decision, you always revert back to your habits.
Yeah.
I think as a habitual way, that's probably the way I used to tackle when I was a youngster, is just get in the way. Just don't worry about your body, just get your head in the way. So
Yeah.
it just shows the importance of drilling in that tackle technique as you're a young kid all the way through. Just keep working on it, because you do in those split seconds revert back to habits of right, just get in the way type of thing. Use your face.
Was it affecting like your mood and stuff as well? Like, you know, day-to-day living away from the stadium and away from training when you were taking time off, like, because obviously it's been in the press loads. You look at Alex Popham now, and what they're doing is talking to World Rugby, and they're trying to make real change for the game, which is great. But, you know, only, what was this, 5 years ago, 4 years ago? Like, it wasn't that long ago, but it was a different time. Like, how, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like, how were you able to offset that, but still live your life, if that makes sense, away from rugby?
The South African one, I felt I felt as if I was in a bad place, just because I thought, shit, this is my last one, and I don't really know what I want to do after rugby. I didn't have a clear plan, so I kind of shit myself. I was like, right, what do I do if I have to retire tomorrow? Where do I go? I got my coaching badges, and I've been to school and college, so but I didn't have a clear plan of what I wanted to do, and I think it got me down being injured as well. I had a lot of injuries when I was a young kid, and I always used to deal with it. Well, I didn't deal with it well, because that was my only way of expressing myself, is through rugby and like hitting someone or making a line break, and that's how I express my emotions. Whereas when that was taken away, because I wasn't very good at communicating, I'd take it out on whoever's closer to me, and I'd get moody with Christy or something like that, and just get really snappy because I didn't know how to tell her that I was feeling this way or that way. That's why I used to rely a lot on rugby. It's just to go out there and express myself, type of thing. So the South Africa one, I felt that was a tough one. I came back after a few months out of that. I came back feeling good, feeling fine. But then, this was the last one where I went up for a high ball. I played a few games beforehand. I went up against Scarlets. And this beforehand, at the time, Christy was living in London, so she hadn't seen many of my games in the last 6-7 months, because she'd been living in London, and it was her birthday. And she came back, and she was like, "Right, I'm going to watch you play against Scarlets in Park of Scarlets." And I went up for a high ball, and it came down and it hit my head in the floor. And that was my last knockout, and it took me a while. It took me a long time to recover from that, and I decided then to. It was about, when was it? It was January. It was obviously Boxing Day, so December I got knocked out, and my contract was finishing in May. So I was like, right, okay. I spoke to the Ospreys as well, and they were really good in the fact that I told them early on, I was like, right, I'm going to take a year out. I'm not going to re-sign or anything like that. I'll sign for another club. I just want the time to recover and get away from rugby. Which was a really tough decision. But for my health, I knew if I was involved in the environment, I would be in a worse place, whether that's mentally or just eager to get back. So during the period from January to May, when I started to improve and get better from the symptoms and stuff, I started doing a lot of work with the Ospreys, and the Ospreys helped me do some stuff with Welsh netball, some of the skill stuff, and some like PT work. And it kind of helped me then set up where I wanted and set a business up ready. And Tim Jones, have you met Tim Jones from the Ospreys now?
No.
He's a great guy. So he's with the WRPA, and he helped me a lot. And, helped me a lot of my future and how I can get a business going for the year, and then hopefully then come back in a year's time. So that leads me up to taking a year out then. And I moved to London because Christy was living up there. So I moved straight to London. I found a gym straight away in London, and just started PTing then.
That's tough to do. Not just like, so retiring's tough anyway for a lot of players, I think, with it, especially if they don't have that master plan after, because you're so used to rigid structure turn up at this time, wear this, eat this, it's all done for you, travel here. So to retire, normally players find that quite hard sometimes. To do it where it's been almost taken away from you, like at the time, did you have like, I don't know, resentment, or were you just so worried about getting healthy again in your head and your mind, and it didn't cross your mind at the time? Like, what's the thought process through that?
Well, I think the hardest thing was that I didn't say anything right at the beginning in that Zebra game, even though it was a little knock to the head. I should have said something straight away.
Yeah.
Because like, obviously I don't know the outcomes, but if I would have said something then, maybe none of this would have happened and I would have still been playing rugby.
Yeah.
And I remember going in to see Steve Tandy after after the first one, and I took a bit of time out and I just told him, and I said, like, apologize, and I felt like really bad that I didn't say anything and then speaking up, and he just said, he said, "Oh man, I think you're really brave." And then straight away I thought, "Oh, he must be on about because I was just carrying on and just getting stuck." But he was like, "No, I mean, you were super brave for like just coming in here and chatting to me and telling me, and just talking to me and just expressing yourself through chat." And I was just like, didn't even think of that as being brave. I just thought that as just non-associating with being brave at all. And that kind of like opened my eyes. And then the next hardest thing then was to tell my parents that I was going to take a year out, because in my mind I was like, right, they've invested so much time and money into my rugby and everything. If I tell them that I'm walking away, then I thought they'd break their heart. But telling them was it was kind of a big. It just kind of lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders, because the first thing they said is, "Oh, you and your health is the most important thing, and and your happiness." So as soon as they said that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." Because in my head, I was just manifesting that I gotta just say nothing and just get on with it. And as soon as I started speaking and talking, I just felt like a big relief, and I can now just focus on myself and getting healthy and getting fit.
It's tough because rugby's obviously seen to be so macho, and you can't have any weakness, and don't be a pussy, just fucking get on with it, man up, and all the other shit cliches that we've all grown up with at any level of sport, right?
Yeah.
But to do that, I think like, to put your pride to one side and ego and everyone else's opinion, because they don't pay your bills at the end of the day, and professional sport, unfortunately, unless you might be a Gary Lineker or someone like that now. Normally, when you leave, they forget about you. Someone else has come in taking your shirt, haven't they? It's a production line. Yeah,
that was. I spoke to the WRPA, and that's exactly what they said. So it was Andre Pistorius. He was like, "Oh mate, just for my
great guy. What a great guy. He's done an episode, mate. Unbelievable.
Oh, he's sick. I'll have to look at that. Yeah, mate, he was good. He had a chat with me, and he just said to me, "Oh, I think he'd give the stat of like 4 in 5 players find it really hard, because when September comes, no one's going to remember you. No, everyone's going to move on, and you just make sure you just chat and you talk to people and whatever." And that was kind of a big eye opener as well, because I just thought to myself, "Nah, I'll be fine. I'll just move on to something else and whatnot." So
did you have it in your mind that, like, early when you made the decision to say take 6 months or and then a year out, did you do a year to try and how do I phrase this? Did you think you were going to retire when you made the decision to have a year out? And why a year rather than 6 months? Because then you could have potentially got back for pre-season. But did you know in the back of your mind, I think I'm done?
Yeah, it's probably, because I think if you go, in my head, I just thought to myself, right, if I give myself a year, I'm going to get ready and I'm going to get back to where I wanted to be. And I'm going to get my goal. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to create a story type of thing, a film script type of thing. But as soon as I stepped out, and looking back now, as soon as you move out to the environment, it's so hard to, it's actually interesting when you watch the documentary about Michael Jordan. When he moves from basketball to baseball, and then he goes back to basketball, and he talks about being so unconditioned for that sport. And it takes I think he said it took him like 6 months to get back into it. And I didn't have that thought in my head. I just thought, I'm going to do some weights and whatever.
Yeah.
I remember going, this was a year later. This was after I retired, a year later, going back to Ospreys to do a day in the life in the Ospreys and going through all their training. Oh my God, I was just so far behind the paces and I couldn't sprint anymore because my hamstrings had just got so tight and turning. And
Yeah.
I was just so tired after one day of like 3 sessions. And I used to do that all the time. It just shows like you have to have a lot of conditioning and the preparation to get back into it. So, yeah, I don't know. As I started doing more PT and more longer hours on my feet and less training, and I got to about 8 months in, and I did a fitness competition. And after that fitness competition, it's like a 3-minute max row effort, and you're obviously competing against everyone else in the room. And then after that, I must have had about a week of just headaches. And it could have been because I phoned the Ospreys up then, Ant, and I asked him, and he was like, "Oh mate, because you haven't done anything high intensity in a year, like 8 months, it could be that you're not used to it,
Yeah.
or it could be that you haven't fully recovered yet. But we'll have a chat and see how we go over the next few days.
Yeah.
Talk you over." So I just thought to myself, it's 8 months in. If it is concussion related, I just can't go through all that again. The last 2 years, or maybe a year and a half of everything I went through was really tough and hard, not only for me, but for my family. And I think I started realizing then, being out of the rugby environment, how important my health is. Because I used to, being a rugby player, you kind of disregard sometimes, well, I used to do it anyway, disregard sometimes my health and just
Yeah.
think about your goals and what you want to do. So yeah, I moved away and I started seeing that is more to life than just what I've done or gone for the last 2 years. So I just thought, right, I'm going to retire and just move on to the next thing. And after announcing I was retiring, I kind of, again, I could focus on what was next because I always had in my mind, Christmas time, I'm coming back to play.
Yeah.
Write that story. As soon as that disappeared, then. But yeah, after retiring, I just had a massive, whether it was like an ego thing, but I just so obsessed then of whatever I did next, I was going to be the best at doing it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I went straight into, because I get obsessed with things, whether it was rugby or this job that I was doing at the time, PT. I was obsessed with it then because I was going to try and be the best at that. And so just trying to get that balance right with that.
Did you feel like a massive weight lifted off your shoulders when you took the pressure off yourself to not get back and say, I'm done?
Yeah, massively. As soon as because I wanted to tell Ospreys first because they were my club, and I just phoned Pete Owen there to say, I just want to let you know first before I just want to say I'm retiring. And as soon as I said that, at the same time though, I think Lee Halfpenny was pulled out of the Six Nations because of concussion.
Yeah.
A lot of like ITV people trying to get hold of me and whatever.
Yeah.
My story on Lee, and I just thought, right, I've spoke about concussion enough, and I probably was feeling gutted about it anyway.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want anything to do with it, so I just kind of moved away from rugby and any of those chats.
Yeah.
Because I had a bit of probably a bad taste, you would say, in my mouth just because of I didn't get what I wanted to, type of thing.
Yeah, that makes complete sense as well. You know, it's not everyone would love to go out on their own circumstances, but unfortunately with elite level sport, it's not always the way. So I completely understand that. How did you find the PT world and transitioning over to that? Because I can imagine there's a lot of, in terms of structure, times and stuff, I can imagine there's a lot of transferable skills, but going from such a team environment to being your missus on your own a bit more, like, how do you find that transition?
I mean, I was super lucky because the gym I went to, Manor, it was an awesome place because the owner's he's an ex MMA fighter, Charlie, and there's a couple of guys there who's ex MMA fighter, ex boxer, or 2 ex boxers, pro boxers, ex world champion Muay Thai fighter, a guy from Port Talbot as well, who was an S&C coach, and we had that environment straight away. So I came into an environment where we were all abusing each other, all getting stuck, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't miss the camaraderie because I had it.
Yeah.
So the PT life, I loved it. It was really good. All my time in Man, and the cool thing about it as well, we had a few of the SAS lads who train there as well.
Okay.
So like, I'm not sure if you've seen the show, but Foxy, he's a big friend with Charlie, and he comes in a lot. We train with him, and it's the same type of environment. Is as soon as he comes in, we abuse him, and he abuses us, calls me all big nose and whatever.
Yeah.
So didn't miss that because I had it, so that was good. And because I got obsessed with the PT, I was driven and I was pushing on because I thought, right, this is my next thing. I want to be the best of this. And yeah, to be honest, I loved the 2 years I was there. We done some awesome stuff. But one thing I did find hard is how I express myself. Like how you being in an environment where it's a lot of like physical and like aggression. You can release that through tackling or whatever. I just didn't have any of that. That was gone. So then I started doing like challenges. I wouldn't train for them. I would just decide, just because I just wanted to put my mind through it. I would do like a marathon on the rower one day, and then we got to a point where we did, we called it Iron Man. So me and the ex MMA fighter Charlie, and who else was there? Martin, his name was. We did a 30-mile run, a 30-mile on the rower, and 30-mile on an assault bike.
Jesus Christ.
Just because I think we were all in the same position. We just wanted something to just express ourselves. Yeah. And after that, I thought to myself, right, something needs to change because this is getting stupid. Especially because we're not training for it either.
Yeah, there's something there about like just putting your body in a hole because you're used to that either on match day. James Haskell talks about it a lot. Like once a week, he just has to put his body in that position where you're close to being sick and you're dead basically, because you're so used to it for 8, 9, 10 years of your career, and you don't have that. You got like letting that expression of you as a person. So you just bury yourself, and it's like you feel like you've achieved something, but actually, it's probably not good for you at the same time.
Especially if you don't train for it properly. It's probably why. It's probably why I know a lot of the Welsh lads do it. They're retired guys. They all get into triathlons, and they and Ironman. That's savage in itself. It's just mental toughness.
Brutal, mate.
Especially the training. That's the hardest part. So it's exactly that. It's just how can, because there's a lot of boxing going on in the gym as well. Like I couldn't box because of my head. I didn't want to box just in case. So just
that gets addictive as well. See, boxing.
Oh, I bet.
Gets real addictive.
Really? Well, have you done much of it?
I had a couple of white collars and a couple of fights, but we're training in the gym, and you've got like Joe Cordino, who's like a matchroom boxer in there, and then he's bringing people in, and Gary Lockett, who's a world-class trainer as well, and you do get really addicted to it pretty quickly because you can pick it up. You can go from like 0 to say 50 or maybe even 40 like very quickly. Then it's the 40 to 100, which you're never going to get. Like that's the professionals, but
that's the ones.
Your body sparring with Joe Cordino, thinking this guy will be a world champion one day. Fuck, I'm handling my hand. Oh, you get back up, and it's like it's that respect thing. I think you said earlier around Alan Wynn, like you won't just sit there and take it. Like fucking let's go. But then the minute it's finished, touch gloves. Let's grab some food, grab a coffee. Like, but it does get addictive, man. I think you with your personality, you said earlier, you'd have fucking loved it.
I see my mate now, Eli Walker. He retired really early as well. And he's into boxing now, and he says the same thing. It's just that it's a good way to. The training obviously is savage and it's tough. Being a rugby environment, that's what you love. But he said something just about it which is just so addictive.
Yeah, it is, definitely is. How so as a PT, and you've kind of gone across then still coaching obviously with the rugby trainer, like what was the thought process, and like why that? You mentioned that obviously you love doing skills yourself, but like how did you go from kind of full-time PT coaching people one-to-one group classes building that business to a completely separate business, if that makes sense, but on the rugby side of things?
I just thought when I was doing the lives and stuff with the players, I just thought, I actually, because I avoided rugby for so long, going back into it, I was just like, oh my God, this is why I played it as a kid and I love it. And I love just getting back involved. And I just thought to myself, I've had a lot of time and money invested into my development. And I felt I do love coaching as well over my career. I think it was as I was 19, I coached all the way through like the Ospreys 16s.
Yeah.
And I just thought, right, I love rugby, and I've had a lot of coaches and good quality players around me. I've learned a lot off them. I just wanted to share as much as I can to some of the youngsters. And because when I first went to the rugby trainer, I just thought I was just going to do PT for rugby, which is seriously niche in London. And then as that was starting to develop, people started enjoying. So it's kind of like putting content out there, and people started liking the skill stuff more than the PT side of things. So I decided to scrap the PT altogether and just focus all on the skills. And I think that's how it's just grown, because I've just tried things, and I just saw what worked and just kind of pushed that on then and just went with that.
I love that you don't take yourself too seriously on there either. So the content you're giving out is free, it's class, it's relevant, it is it's really worth looking at if you're a player trying to get better, or you're a coach even trying to become a better coach. But also you'll almost take the piss out of yourself and like the rugby community as well, which I think, when you think about coaches, sometimes, especially back in the day, it was very authoritarian, like do as I say, do this, do that, 50 press-ups, 2K run, like fucking whatever. Well, you bringing fun to it. And I think in today's society with, like you said, producing content, that's what people love. There's a guy, you must have seen him, the rugby guy, Jared.
Oh, mate, legend, yeah.
Mate, so I speak to him a lot, right?
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
But it's so simple, and that's why it works. And I think yours is going along the same route. It's not complicated jargon bullshit. It's catch, pass, hands this way, look at it, just 3 pointers. Well, I can take that on board, and I can just go and practice out in the garden now, or I can teach my kids or whatever it is. Like I think it's so simple, and that's why it works. Yeah,
I think first of all, I've always the rule of three for example, I know it's probably stats and stuff out there, but rule of three, I'll always go by. Everything I do is rule of three, because you probably will never remember anything more than 3 things.
No.
So I always live by that rule of 3. And I was talking to Pretorius actually ages ago, and what he said to me just stuck in my head. And he was like, right, 3 things. Every time you post, they have to have a checklist of 3 things. And then everything I post then has got those 3 things. They were personality, educational, and entertaining. Maybe and inspiring was there maybe.
I don't think I've got any of those on my posts. So
yeah, so
I'm gonna fucking start.
Yeah. So if it doesn't have all them 3, then no point posting them. Just because what value, especially content, it's got to be fun. It's got to be inspirational and educational. That's it. Fun, inspirational, educational.
Love that.
Yeah, and I'm just doing my level 3, and so I don't know everything with coaching, and I'm far from that. And what I'm doing is learning from other coaches as well, and I try to get people's feedback and comments, and I'll learn from that. I'll try it out. So wherever I learn, I want to try and pass it on to everyone else.
Of course.
And so my page is first of all just sharing knowledge that I've learned and I've picked up over the years, and just trying to bridge the gap between it's kind of similar because I was listening to a podcast or Sam Warburton, and he said he tries to bridge the gap between like elite strength and conditioning and just normal everyday people, and that's what he does with SW7, and that's kind of the similar what I'm doing. I'm just trying to bridge the gap with regards to skills, because like if you saw a 12-year-old kid down the road and he's trying all sorts of tricks because he's seen it on TV, but being from the professional environment, our drills and skill drills are super basic. And someone like Reece Webb, if you watch him train, he does something really basic, but he does it with accuracy, and he does it with the decision making, and he does it with consistency. So super basic. And I just wanted to share that with people as well, just to show that you don't have to do the dummy switch back inside pop and over the top type of thing. It's just keep it basic and keep it consistent, and then just keep it with, and then just add layers to it, which is intensity and speed and decision making.
Yeah, completely. It's funny you say that. Like, I was always one of those players. Like, I'm bigger boy now, but I played 12. Like, I played 10 and then 12. I got fatter, so I started playing 12, right? And I'd be one of those players that if a crossfield kick in the 22 R22 defending like was on, I'd go for it.
Yeah.
And I love that high risk, high reward, but it would hardly ever work. But I'd be giggling to myself as I'm doing it like fucking like everyone else be fucking going mental, and they would just do the fucking basic things really fucking well all the time. But it's so true. Like, we do overcomplicate everything. I used to love chuck a cat flap out the back door and just fucking stupid shit. Like, when it comes off, then you're like, fucking yes, sonny. But it hardly ever comes off.
Yeah, but that is actually a basic skill if you first of all practice it, and you practice it as a team. Like when I was playing with Josh Matavesi, I knew for well that he always looks for offloads. So it's my job to get in his shoulder.
Yeah.
I know every time he's going to hit contact, he's going to look to offload. So as long as you work in those combinations and you work as a team, then that cat flap is a good option if everyone's on the same page.
No, completely. I mean, he's made a mug of people. That dummy for Bath, like, and he's laughing as he's doing it because he knows he's taking the piss out of people.
Yeah, class player.
I love it. I love shit like that. And like, I've noticed you've started to. I mean, I was just literally looking at your page then. Like, two things. How do you keep coming up with original content? Because there's only like at some point there's like, what else can you cover in the game that you haven't already covered once, if that makes sense? And then off the back of that, I've seen you've started to do like some analysis now on like the professional games. I saw like, was it Hogs chase back and turnover for the Lions the other day and stuff? Like, how are you finding stepping into that side of things as well?
With the analysis side of things, I've done that since I was a kid. But what I've looked online is a lot of people analyze a set play or movement pattern or whatever, but no one's analyzing specific skill element. And I think like the Hog one is a good example of just showcasing to kids and grassroots coaches that like the top players are doing this skill, and it's a basic skill, but it's done at the highest level. And, I just wanted to, like, my I can't even say the word. Analysis. My analysis is just trying to highlight a skill within a game. It could be a ball present type of thing, just done well, and that's why I just want to try and highlight with the analysis. But the faff is just the editing. It takes a long time, and always on my phone and whatever. But I love that side of it, the analysis. As I said, I've done it for so long, and I've started now doing like a couple of semi-pro and pro players. If they've got any footage, we'd look through it throughout the week.
Class.
On a Wednesday or something like that, and then for the next week, then we'll set him 3 extra sessions to do after a training session, whether it's high ball or catch a pass and 3-on-2 type of thing. So I program that for them as well. But with the one beforehand, you mentioned with, what do you mention?
The content. So like at some point you'd have covered 99% of like what happens in rugby. How do you keep coming up with original content to keep posting? Because you don't want to get, I mean, it's not getting stale, but I'm just talking about, say like in a year's time, like how do you just keep coming up with that different content and putting your own personality into it?
I got one thing I found out I'm quite creative. I just sit down and just think and daydream and just be like, right, I think this will work. But as well as that, it's just putting it out there. And if it does work, and I everything I put out, I kind of keep it like, I don't do a broad spectrum of, like, if I was doing passing, I would just do one part of the passing. So then I know, right, I focused on the point to the pass. So then the next time, then I'll focus on a different element. And as well as that, I plan and schedule everything as well. And I also ask a question. So I would say, what do you want me to focus on this week? Or so I kind of get my ideas from people, my followers, just to make sure that they're happy with it, and again, it's just trying to put the fun element on it, and just as well as it's hard because, as you said, it's getting to a point now. There's only so much things I can do on my own, so I'm now starting to, because lockdown is opening and whatnot. I'm going to start going to players and stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
and getting their insights and what they do, and so every Thursday I do a live chat with a player.
yeah.
So it's kind of touched on there what things they do and how they develop a certain skill and whatnot. But I want to do that now in person.
Yeah.
So that's the next stage for me, is going to someone like Henry Slade and just seeing how he puts the ball on his left foot whilst running and grubbing it to the corner and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Just basic skills just to try and pass on to the grassroots.
That'd be, to be fair, that's class. Like you mentioned about social media there. Like, what's your relationship with it? Because you put so much content out there. I mean, the majority of people, it must be nice to you, but do you ever get like, you know, a bit of a hard time on there? And you know, your following's grown so quickly over the last sort of couple of years. Like, do you get much heat on there from people, or even like ex-teammates who are like, what the fuck are you doing, whatever? Like, do you ever get anything like that at all?
Well, the first thing, if I say the first 6 months of anything I did, the first thing I used to think is, oh, what are the boys going to think when I post it?
Yeah.
But once you get over that and you think, right, this is my job and I'm trying to help people, and they're just doing that because they're lads, and I would do it to my mate as well. That sort of thing, just to get stuck into them. But you just got to take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, so social media, luckily, as you said, the rugby environment is great, and the network is good. You do get the odd people. I do get really fixated on the negative. If I had 100 good comments and one bad one, I'd be fixated on that bad one because I think, like,
fucking yeah.
Was this guy like? What's going on?
What's his fucking problem?
What's his problem? Well, and then so I've kind of developed now. Anything I do, I kind of say, right, this is the way I like to do it.
Yeah.
So I try to bring that into it. So because there's various different ways you can pass a ball or kick a ball or whatever. But yeah, I do find it quite tough, the negative side. But again, I get a lot of positive, and I get a lot of like positive as well from the elite players, especially in the last, like, some players I've never spoke to, never seen before. Like dropping a name, like someone like Carlin Isles followed me the other day, and dropped.
I saw him comment.
Yeah, he dropped me a message saying, "Absolutely loving the stuff you're doing," and I'm like, "Oh my god,
class!"
Yeah, absolute superstar. Like, so that was amazing, and it's just trying to be as positive I can with the stuff I'm doing, and as long as I'm staying on the line of my job is to help. I think the negative side of it then is their issue then, rather than something I've done wrong, hopefully, anyway. But
how do you pull yourself out of that negative? Like, are there things you do, or like what do you do away from the rugby trainer, and when you played rugby, what did you do away from the pitch just to relax and actually get yourself over that little bump and little hurdle? What are you into?
It's first of all, with the negative side, I have to get a balance right, because sometimes I go back to my old ways and just keep it in, and I just get really like frustrated, and I probably start bipping at my wife. But then she always says, "Oh, what's the matter? Talk to me." And then as soon as I start talking about it, she's like, "Well, we kind of like break it down." And and then because I did an actual a reel a couple of weeks ago or months ago, and it was crazy. It hit like 17 million views.
Fuck.
I know, it was about my nose. It was saying like the it was a lady who, I think she had a perfect symmetrical face, and I said,
"Oh, yeah, I saw it."
Yes, and then I said underneath there, "Rugby is tough," and it was over the whole video. So half of her video was rugby is tough, and then mine, I was just showing my nose. And then I think a lot of people who don't follow me that saw the video kind of misunderstood what I meant, so they started abusing her and saying she doesn't play rugby, or an idiot and stuff like that, and I bet she plays in the backs and whatever. And then I noticed then that she started commenting, like people answering back.
Oh, fucking
And
hell.
I just thought, and I had people then messaging me saying like, this is disgraceful. And I was like, oh my God, this is just blown out of proportion. So I was like, I got to get rid of this. So I deleted it. And
Yeah.
that was in 2 weeks. I had 17 million views. I couldn't believe it. Um,
Hashtag influencer.
Hashtag, yeah. So first of all, I was getting a lot of abuse from my nose, and I got getting a lot of abuse from her friends then. So I was like, right, this has got to go. Got to get rid of it. But yeah, how I deal with it now, I've started doing tag rugby because I've started missing rugby a lot because I'm getting more into it, and I started playing with the idea of, do you reckon I can play sevens a little bit, or I think the ego's starting to build back up again.
Yeah.
And
summer's coming. Yeah, it's nice. Tops off, like
tops off. Bournemouth sevens or something like that.
Oh, unbelievable, mate!
The old Comtawi sevens or something.
Yeah, I fucking love stuff like that. I did one summer. I don't know if you'd have heard of them, like the Smurfs, right. And it was like Tuvey's team.
Okay.
All the Newport, like in Gwent lads, and I went like on 3 or 4 separate tours, like Newquay, Bournemouth, and a couple of other places, and the Goats, which was like the Glantav lads, Jamie Roberts, and all those boys.
Yeah.
And like for 1 or 2 summers, I didn't play. Like, obviously, I was fucking rubbish, but just flat out, and I loved it. Like the sevens circuit, and like I always say this, for like you look at Wales sevens, when it was kicking about, and like England sevens, if you're a single lad, like that's a fucking great way to live.
Yeah, the sevens tour now, if you're a 19, 20-year-old, whether it's the amateur sevens or the professional sevens, being a single lad or single lady, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, good old time, definitely.
To be honest, since going into the rugby training, my relationship with rugby in itself, because as I retired from rugby, I didn't go and watch a Wales game or that sort of thing. And now, I'm going to the game as a fan now, and I'm super excited. I'm kind of like back obsessed with rugby, even though I'm not playing. I'm playing tag on a Wednesday night, which is fun, totally different. I always try and drop the shoulder in, but I always get penalised. But I still find that something's missing from that as well.
Yeah.
But it's a good replacement. I'm having fun. But I'll be honest, the last 2 weeks, because now I'm out of the environment of the Mana crew and the gym I was in, where I was a part of something, because I'm on my own a lot now. And I do a lot of my own filming. I do my own editing and whatever. A lot of my time is on my own. And I've started the last 2 or 3 weeks now, I've started to feel a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt
it's lonely.
Yeah. And my wife went back to Wales for a week and a bit. So just me and my cat, like just chilling in the flat. But I'll be honest, the first night was good when Mrs. went away. I was like, yeah. But after that, it's kind of lonely there when you're on your own all the time, and especially being from a place where you got the team around you. So I'm going to try and see how I can get back into a team environment somehow or some way.
Have you ever thought about, I mean, what does the future hold for you, the rugby trainer? Have you thought about, speaking, if you're in London, speaking to someone like a Harlequins or a Saracens and saying, look, can I come in 1 day a week? Or because you could film that content as well, and that's content for them, content for you. I don't know, I don't know what you do, but have you thought about that? And like, what is the future for you and the rugby trainer?
Well, funny enough, I just had a chat this morning with someone who's working with me now, Alex. He's working me the direction of where I want to go, because so much has developed in when did I start it? Was it 10 months ago I started? And I started off wanted to be a PT for rugby, more specific, and it's now turned into a content creator for rugby slash coach.
Yeah.
So, but I still want to coach. I love the coaching side of it. But I do love the content side of it as well. Just kind of thinking, right, I can't really plan where I want to be in 5 years' time, because I could be anywhere. So it's now breaking it down into 6 months. Where am I in 6 months? So I spoke to Harlequins a few weeks ago, and I've done one session with them already with the under-17s.
Yeah.
And I've got another one on Sunday with them. So I'm enjoying that, because I'm learning as well, because I I haven't done team coaching in 3 or 4 years, so I'm getting back into that.
Class.
So yeah, what I'd love to do is, like I mentioned earlier, is go into clubs and create content for them and for brands with players and staff and coaches, and getting some insights into how they're so good at specific things and what to work on. So that is my aim, and my goal is just to get more learning and pass it on to everyone else.
Class, mate. I love it. Like, I'll put you in touch with. So we're recording this now. What's the date today? Or is it the 9th or 10th or something?
Yeah, 9th.
Right. This will be out in a couple of weeks, see. But this will come out the week after Nicky Little, the Fiji 10.
Class.
And he is like head of rugby at a school, and it's by St Albans somewhere, Royston. So it's not a million miles away. So again, like I'll hook you two up, because
that'd be sick.
That'll be a great, you could use him. He's still in tremendous nick. Like you'll see it when I release it next week. He's in tremendous nick. He's as honest as they come. There's no bullshit. And he played rugby to enjoy himself, almost not to conform to like everyone else's ideologies. And I feel like you two would have create some class content for his school and stuff. Like, so I'll hook you up with that. Like
that'll be amazing. Cheers. Because like the being in London now, the rugby schools in London are incredible. I work next to Dulwich College.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been in there yet, but the facilities, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Nicky Little's facilities up there is it's just next level. And it'd be amazing to see how they structure it, because coming from Wales, it's all public schools, and it's just play for your. It's more club based, really, isn't it, in Wales rather than schools? Apart from if you go to the Llandoveries and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Because I spoke to Bruce Rehana last week.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to do some content with him, but he's just signed for Montpellier as a skills coach.
Class.
So where he was explaining his role, I was like, mate, that is epic role. And
that's the dream, like.
So hopefully, he said when you can, just pop to Montpellier and we can do some footage and stuff of what he does. And I'll be like, mate, that's me. And
I'll fucking come with you. I'll put the flights. I'll put the flights on the business as a business trip. We'll fucking get out there, boy.
Yeah, mate. We need a cameraman.
Yeah, I'm there. I'll tie your laces. I'll get your tees. I'll wash your kit after. Like, don't worry about it. I'll sort it all out.
Next flight then will be the MLR. Then out there, get to the Galantines.
Mate, so Sparky, I don't know if you know Sparky, the analyst. Mark, I know Sparky well. So I've said we're going to go out like next year, probably for next season, and go and watch a game or two. So again, like if we do that, let's fucking do it. Catflap's a rugby trainer on tour.
Man, I thought you were going to say he's out there doing some stuff with the Galantines or something like that.
He is. He's analyst for them.
No way.
Yeah, mate. He's living in Santa Monica, mate.
No, I'll have to drop a message, I think.
He's their analyst, pal.
Oh, the dream.
He's doing 6 months for the Giltinis and then 6 months with Rugby Canada every year.
Oh, mate, Giltinis. That's how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I'll probably message him after this now.
Mate, honestly, he's living the fucking D-ream, let me tell you. Him and Adam Ashley Cooper are like fucking touch type now. Best mates, genuine.
Yeah, who's that? Gitto as well.
Yeah, Gitto's there. A few of them, like he's loving it, mate. On his Instagram, he's just like, oh yeah, home, and it's Santa Monica, and I'm like, you're a wanker, mate. It's pissing down rain here, though.
Yeah, my head's gone with UK weather now. Let's go.
Oh, mate, right. We'll get a tour sorted, pal. We are going somewhere. Let me tell you.
That's class. Yeah. Talking about content, it's. I got something for O2 this weekend, so obviously this is a few weeks behind. But I'm going to the England game.
Yeah.
With O2, so I have to wear O2 kit.
Class.
But the only thing is the England shirt they sent me. So I'm gonna be wearing it. I phoned my mum and dad. I was like, "Mom, Dad, is it all right? Can I wear it?" So that's the tricky situation this weekend. But I'm gonna get it signed by one of the lads and donate it to whoever, then the charity or something after.
Fair play, mate. That's class. Look, you'll win. You can just see the passion and you're excited just talking about it now. So whatever you do end up doing, you'll end up winning because you love it.
Yeah.
And like I could easily see like you just said, Bruce, skills coach. Like when I finished, I was fucking rubbish at rugby, but I coached for a bit, like in Llandaff. under 16s and 19s. And then like my mates always tag me in, like, if ever there's an England skills job, they always tag, like, I would have loved to have done that. I just pissed away my 20s, essentially. Like, being completely honest.
Yeah.
I just wasted so much fucking time. And I would have fucking loved to have done that, being a skills coach in a professional rugby environment. Like, that would have been fucking perfect for me. I love kicking. I love like that, the skills, like, so I can see you doing it, mate. Like, wherever it takes you, I can see you going there.
Because I asked Bruce, I was like, this must be a new role within the last 3 years, because I haven't heard of a specific role for skills. Usually you have the academies or like the understudies or the backs coach doing it. But yeah, he said it's now a kind of a new role. He is just literally, he will go around like the sessions and pick up little skill stuff. And then he will write programs then for the squad on what to work on and whatever, and just do a little bit of extra with them, as well as that being in south of France, having a hell of a time. But yeah, he's just looking at the academy and senior boys, just writing skills programs for them.
Fuck it, that's a job, isn't it?
It's class, yeah, fair play. And yeah, he knows his stuff. So I was
love
supposed to have him on the chat, but we're gonna have to rearrange it. But yeah, that is the dream, isn't it? Skills coach, like not much pressure.
But the thing is, that's, you know, you'll open doors because you're obviously a likable guy. You're creating decent content, and the content isn't bullshit. It's not controversial and like doing it for likes. It's genuinely helping people. So I think you'll get it. Don't know when, but at some point you'll fucking get there, and then you'll look back and just go, it all makes sense now. That whole journey I've been on, where I had the highs of playing to the lows of having to retire. The PT stuff then set you up actually to do this, and you found your real passion. But actually, that journey of where it's about to go next, like, it'll all make sense, mate. And you know, when you look back and reflect on it, you'll just be like, fuck, that's some journey. Like, on the majority, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Looking back at my career now, I felt as if that I learned in the last 2 or 3 years of that career, I learned so much just to help me to the next whatever I do. Just the fact from the communication and how important that is, from and just like listening to yourself and putting your like the health first, and yeah, I just learned so much from that, and it has driven me a lot now to going forward. But it's just making sure I don't get too obsessed with my next thing. That's all. That's what my next curve is, because my wife always used to come second with rugby, so hopefully I get the balance right this time.
It's so true. You work to live, you don't live to work, and if you can find that balance, mate, you'll be happy.
How have you, what's your like reflection with, obviously with, I said at the beginning, my lockdown, I kind of sat back and had to think about my balance. Well, have you done something similar, or have you kind of, since lockdown 3 is finished, are you gunning for it again, or how?
Yeah, do you know what, like, I don't really talk about myself too much on these, because no one knows who the fuck I am, and no one cares as well. But honestly, like, that we said off pod, that time where we moved house because we needed space living in a 2-bed flat, like, it gave me a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do. And I wasn't happy in my job, not for any reason. I worked for Capital FM, fucking great brand. I wouldn't work for another radio brand. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, it's afforded me amazing things. Backstage at Anthony Joshua with him, and like, just fucking cool stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And so in the last 12 months, I started this 18 months ago, so this has been going. But in the last 12 months, I've turned this into a business, and I've got sponsors and partners, and it makes a couple of quid, pays for my car and my phone. I've started bringing in merch, so I've got hats, and now going to have t-shirts and socks and stuff like that. I've been doing some work for another one of our clients and helping him. I've then got these events coming up. By the time this comes out, the events would have launched, so like high-end brunches and stuff like that. And I've just gone, I want different revenue streams. And I've changed the job 3 months ago. And so I really wanted to work in sport, but it's not a great time to be commercially working in sport. So what's the next best thing? Work for a big agency, which is what I'm doing. So, you know, one day I might get to the point where, like you said, I don't know about 5 years' time, but over the next 6 months, I kind of roughly know where I want to be. But it took a lot of reflection and a lot of honest conversations with, you know, my old boss, who's actually a really good friend, some people that I care about and respect their opinions and go, look, I'm not happy with myself. What can I do? And they were like, what do you want to do? Like, you know, like you said, you know, I'd love to, at some point, this pays for itself and I can take the salary from it. At the moment, it just pays the bills, you know, for my car and stuff. But I work 40 hours in a full-time job. Like you said, it's the time. Editing this takes however many long. So the next stage for me is probably employing someone or getting an intern and realizing that I can't do it all and I'm not an expert at everything. So actually delegating that and letting go of it a bit.
Yeah, how are you with the delegation? Because that's one thing I found really hard, is because I like things done a certain way, and as soon as you start passing it over, you kind of have a thought of, oh, what was if they don't do it the way I like it?
I do it all. I do everything. So I obviously record this now. I'll edit this over the weekend. Next weekend, and it'll be out the Monday after. I obviously sort out the sponsors. I do all the content and stuff. I don't know how to video edit, so I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm going to teach my missus how to do it because she's a nurse. She has 3 days off a week, 4 days off a week. If she can start video editing them for me, we can then repurpose them, put them on YouTube. At some point then you start to bring in enough money where you go, actually, I can afford to pay an apprentice or an intern. And they're a shit hot social media, you know, TikTok. Like for me, it's time because I'm working full time and I've got my daughter, you know, on weekends. When do I sit down and just relax? And don't get me wrong, I was at the England cricket game yesterday from 11 o'clock, got in at 10:30. Like, I had a great time, but like, I don't know whether I'm just not letting go of things at the moment. I do struggle with that, I think. Like, if it's my project, I want to run it all, but I don't know how to do these things. So now it's a case of, let's teach my missus and I'll just trust her to do the right thing. And if not, we can look at it and go, oh, we could tweak this, we could do that. You know, learn from people like yourselves. You know, I'll probably catch up with you after this. But like, oh, what do you use on your phone to edit the video? Like, I don't know. Just ask for help. Sometimes I never ask for help, and that's been a big thing for me in my life, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that is important, that asking for help, because the first thing, I spoke to one of my mates who's a few years older than me, and he's got a few different businesses, and he said the first thing you need to do is write a list of everything you do. So that would be like for myself from the PT, or it's the editing. Same with you, from your anything to do with Catflaps, you write down everything you do from accountants. And he said you need to start firing yourself from some of those jobs.
Yeah.
And I was just like, shit, yeah. And he was like, you need to get people in, whether it's family, friends, or just someone you pay just to do that, because it's going to take so much time off your hands for you to do all the fun stuff. And I find that really hard to do. Like you said. Because some of the stuff I'm like, oh, I actually really enjoy that. The editing, it's fun, it's quite nice, but it takes a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I like the editing because you listen back and you forget those little moments in the conversations where you go, fuck, that's a bit of gold. That was at 27 minutes. That's the video I'm going to create for when we release it or whatever. And I do like listening back as we're doing it, but then it takes 8-9 hours to do for like a 90-minute podcast, and people don't realize that.
No, that's mad. Where do you see? I know I'm asking. Sorry, you said it was a pub chat, so I asked.
No, go on.
Where do you see Catflaps going? Obviously, a podcast. Is it going to go into a live chat where you go into someone, or like?
I love how like this podcast has reversed roles now, and now you're.
No, when you said it's turning into a business and stuff, it's quite interesting because I've started to do my like live chat. It's just interesting to see where you take yours.
Like you've got a couple of partners on board, like Lulamon and Rhino and that. Like, so I've got, you know, local sponsors here, which, you know, pay weekly or monthly or whatever. So you're always trying to like tag them in things. The problem is, I'm the one who's then creating the content for them on my page, and it's probably not the most inspiring. Yeah. So, you know, I'm speaking to a few new sponsors, and the big thing is, how can we be creative? Or how can you be creative and give me the assets so it's cool? And that I think for me moving forward, that'll be a big thing. Where does it go? You know, I was in talks with 1 or 2 places about hosting, you know, match days. So you do like 40, like a live show almost. So you've seen them, you know, me, and it could be, you know, you, Jamie Roberts, whoever on the stage. It's like 40 minutes before the game, little 10 minutes at half time, 20 minutes after on a Saturday. I could turn that around on a Sunday and it's out Monday, you know? So you can then start to get into that presenting world, because I find it quite easy to talk to people and like, I don't mind asking questions and like this, for people listening, we don't know each other well at all. We know each other from social media and we've got a lot of mutual friends. But I find it easy to talk to you and talk to people. So it could go down that route. The thing with the live chats and stuff, it's probably more time, not just for me, but for other people. Everyone wants 5 seconds with you and with Reese Webb and with Jamie Roberts, whoever it is. And it's just trying to manage their diaries and yours to create something that's worth listening to. Which is why I try and stay on this podcast route, because I can film them. I'm recording this. I'm going to repurpose them for video rather than the live chat stuff, because I don't know, like there'd have to be a reason for it. What value is this going to bring to my audience? Where for yours, I think it's slightly different. I think that'd be easier for you to do because it's a live coaching session there and then. And so, the events would be the next thing. You look at Good Bad Rugby, that and Joe Rogan, they're probably the two, and Peter Crouch, they're the three that I would look at as podcasts. Go, fuck me, that's elite level, and they've all done their own shows.
Yeah, I like that. I like that Good and Bad Rugby, because if you look at it, is there anything similar that obviously you don't want to niche yourself down into just the UK and rugby, Wales and rugby, but is there anyone like that because they obviously are big backers of England, aren't they? So yeah, you could. There's the root of that, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I really try and diversify out of rugby, which is why I really wanted to speak to you, because you're not a rugby player anymore. You're doing something different in the game, and I make a real effort. Like last week, as of today, the date, Mason Jones from the UFC, and I've got Ebony Bridges coming up probably the week after you, who's a female matchroom boxer. Marna Slabashane I'm in talks with at the moment, who's obviously a Glamorgan cricketer for Australia and the Ashes, and Zach George, who's like the fittest guy in the UK in terms of, do you know what I mean? Like, so I like speaking to other industries.
Yeah.
It's the problem is, and I get this comment sometimes from people like, fucking hell, you're no Good Bad Rugby. Well, look at the difference. It's me and whatever guests that we have on, which is I'm so appreciative of. They are backed by big national sponsors. Alex has got 15 years of Sky Sports presenting. Haskell and Tyndall have got 150 odd caps between them, so they could just talk amongst themselves and it would be funny.
Yeah.
Like, they're different levels, and I'm fully okay with that. I'm happy in my own skin, but it's aspirational.
Yeah.
And some people get too hung up on, it's no Good Bad Rugby. It's not.
It's a kind of different audience anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not the, if I had a co-host, it probably would get a bit like that, and you could bounce off each other. I want to know about you and the person that I'm speaking to, and you tell your story. So it is slightly different, but I'm completely happy with it. If you'd have told me 2 years ago I was going to create a podcast and it's got 86, 87 episodes that I've done weekly, and I've spoken to Flex Lewis, who's 7-time Mr. Olympia, and Pritch, and fucking people like that, and Nikki Little, Sivivatu, mate, like, fuck me, like, I'd have laughed at you and gone, what, me? Like, in a basketball vest in my fucking office, like, you for real?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I've made a couple of quid on it, and I've paid for my missus to go back to Ireland on a business trip, or fucking, just stupid little things like that, like, I don't try and compare myself. I see good things and go, fuck, that's class. That's aspirational. I'd love that. I want to know more about how they do it. The person, which is why I was so adamant. I kept messaging you going, doesn't matter when you're free, just when you are, I want to chat. So yeah, look, I don't get too down. It'd be interesting where it goes. Look, if I can one day take a deposit out and buy a house with it or something, like, fucking wicked. Like, if I can't, I can't. I've had a laugh doing it. And
you've spoke to so many different people, and you've gained a lot of experience and knowledge and learned a lot from it.
It's opened doors, and I'm a big believer of connecting people. Like, how can I give value? If I can put you in touch with Nikki now, you'll always remember that and go, fuck, fair play, thanks, mate. That was brilliant, like. And one day it'll come back to me somehow, like, not necessarily from you, but just something will come back to me. And it only takes one person to notice what you're doing, what I'm doing, and you're the next skills coach at fucking Toulon, and I'm on Good Bad Rugby, fucking whatever. I'm with you, filming it and fucking. To us over. Come here, kid. I'll teach you how to flap now.
Point to the target.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know, mate.
So either way, it's all exciting, isn't it? It's cool.
Exactly, and I'm one of those people. I'd rather fail trying. Yeah. So if after this, it never got one more listener, I'm proud of it. And that's why I love what you do, mate. With a smile on your face, you're passionate about it, and ultimately you're bringing a bit of content to people, and they're enjoying it. Like I've had messages when we talked to some of the episodes about like, suicide and stuff like that have come up, mental health. You get people going, these are keeping me going. Like, thank you so much. Job done. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't make another penny. The job's done.
Yeah, as you said, that one person, that's all you need to do is just help that one person, isn't it?
Yeah, mate.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much for coming on.
No, mate, cheers. I really, really enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. It's nice to actually take time and reflect back of where I started and where we've got to now. So, cheers to that, mate. And really appreciate you asking me on. No
worries. Where can once more? Where can people find you? And if they want to inquire about coaching sessions or team or one-to-one sessions or whatever, where can they find you?
Yeah, so just the Rugby Trainer on Instagram is the best one, or just ben@therugbytrainer.com, my email. But I normally reply to everyone on Instagram, so drop me a message or whatever, and that's the best place. That's when I'm most active.
Perfect, mate. We'll obviously tag it all in as well. Just quickly, a big thanks to Tiny Rebel. They give me a couple of beers every episode. So again, I get free beer. Like, what do you mean? What fucking more do you want in life?
Yeah, I've heard about these. They're quality. I've never tried one.
I'll be coming down that way soon because I got family in St Albans. So when I do, I'll drop you a message. I'll bring a load down. I'll bring a crate down, mate. They're
sick.
They're in Newport. They're good as gold, to be fair. They're in the Taste of London if you're going to that at all.
Right, okay.
So if you're down at Taste of London this week, they're there. So
I'll have a look at it. I've never heard of it. I'll have a look at it, Taste of London.
Oh, it's a big like food and drink festival, I think. I've not been, but it looks class, to be fair. I don't know if you know Greg Bateman, who's at the Dragons as well. He's got the People's Captain, so that's like another version.
Okay.
That's down there as well, and he's down there, Greg. I think he was at Leicester before, and he's at the Dragons now. Right. Real good guy. A big thanks to Tiny Rebel. Check out catflapchats.com where you'll find our back catalogue, our merch, new merch coming. It should be out by the time this goes live. It's got our sponsors on there, so big thanks to them. I think that is it. Thank you so much. That was class. Loved it.
Cheers, mate. I appreciate that. It was quality.